Hey everybody, Shay here. I have a pretty amusing story of something that happened today. I was wanting to do an episode like the one I was planning to do now, but I was doing research to find out how to do an episode for what I wanted to do today, and I couldn't find any information. But I stumbled upon something I had no idea was even out there. There's no reason why I would have had an idea of why that was out there. Let me show you real quick what it is I'm talking about. I'm talking about these things right here. You'll notice that Capitão America, what are these all? Captain Americas. Anyways, we have here, I don't even know what that is. I'm reading backwards ish. Anyways, we have what was this? Was this fanfic? I don't remember what that was, but that looks like the I don't even know what some of these storylines were anymore. Right here, Punisher, in Portuguese, Homem-Aranha, which is, of course, Spider-Man with Punisher, Hulk. Okay, you get the point. So, and to give you a size comparison, they're kind of that's a derivative more as a standard American-sized comic. And here you go. So they're kind of smaller. They're sort of digest sized, and sometimes they were, I don't know, 60 to 80 pages. No, about 84 pages each. I mean, they're really thin, on newsprint, really cheap. This is what you would buy like in the corner. They weren't even corner shops in Portugal. They were like these kiosks on the road, and whether they were like on the beach or whatever. And the equivalent of like a quickie mart here back in the 80s. That's where these would sell. It's just kind of like easy read material, kids walking by with their candy things, whatever that they would get at the beach, and they'd pick these things up at these little kiosks. And so my family used to go to Portugal every 2 years or so. We moved to Canada. I was very young, and so every 2 years we'd go back. All my family's in Portugal essentially. So, but I didn't really enjoy going to Portugal because all my friends were in Canada. And so when I would go, I eventually discovered comics through this guy. And strange story there is it wasn't even in Canada. I actually went to see family in Boston, Massachusetts, and it was in a grocery store. The first 3 issues of Darkhawk were in this grocery store, and I just wasn't a kid who liked traveling a lot. I had my things here and I loved my friends here, But I was there. I was there for a couple weeks. We went to the grocery store, saw comics on the magazine rack, and I had just gotten into comics because of the Archie Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series. That was kind of my stepping on point. And the New Mutants, I remember like having 1 or 2 issues of New Mutants, but then it was a trip to the States. I'm going all over the place, and then I saw these 3 issues, and the first one was like sliced up. It was like with X-Acto knife. I think like when they opened up the box, like they tore into the first. So for like 2 decades, I think I had Darkhawk #1. I had like X-Acto knife cuts in it from opening the box. So I finally replaced it. Come on. But point is, then I became a hardcore fan of Darkhawk, and so I wanted to make kind of an episode for this channel to kind of go through to spotlight some of these, because I just pulled these out of storage after 3 decades. So I don't know what most of these are about, but strangely enough, as I got into comics and I got older and reading into comics and blogs and stuff like that, and YouTube obviously in the last 10 years, right, I realized that a lot of these Portuguese stories that I read were all like the main story, the big stories of the time, of the 80s. Essentially, they would just recollect issues into these, and they were essentially 3 to 4 issues, but not necessarily sequential. Like they would just like, what's the story they want to tell, and then they would grab issues from different runs if need be, and they would tell a cohesive story within these things. They were like proto trades, and look how thin they are. But this is 84 pages, and something like this special, like that spine right there. I mean, this is nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like this is 30. I mean, this is pretty thick. This is like 50% more than a standard comic. Standard comics are usually 20 pages to 22 pages. This is 32 pages. The Kickstarter campaign. But then you got these ones. I mean, this one is what? This is like an art 164 pages of book. This is like more than so I mean, this is the width of a trade because it's newsprint. It's such thin, cheap paper, So I'm going all over the place. I'm getting kind of overexcited. Okay, so I wanted to kind of do a show where I would kind of go through some of these. I would maybe struggle through reading these in Portuguese, because I mean, I can read and I can speak Portuguese, but it's just I don't do it often, and so it's a bit more of a struggle for me to kind of absorb these. Now, if you're on a vacation, like in Portugal, like as a kid, you're there for 2.5 to 3 months. You don't really want to be there. You kind of just got into comics. You see these in a kiosk on the side of the road by the beach, and of course you're gonna buy a bunch of these comics. They were kind of expensive back then too. Like they really were. They were. It was weird. But anyways, so this was actually, and I found them. I found them in stores. I got these. I don't think there are more. I think these are all of them. But I'm excited. I would love to try to go through these again and just see what storylines they were, because I'm aware of them, but now I kind of don't know whether I learned from there or whether I learned from other media over the years. And so maybe I'd highlight one or two an episode and go through it and then talk about the English story. Maybe find out if they like mixed different stories together inside these compilations. And the reason why I know that they do that is because, so today I'm like, I need to know more about the printing of this, just the experience of it. So maybe I'll do an episode on like talking about how they collected in Europe and Portugal. This was pre EU, right? This is before the European Union. So anyways, I couldn't find anything, but I found this. I found this. Oh my god. So I'm doing a search. This comes up in image search of all things. I just type in Portuguese. I forget what I typed in. Portuguese comic book reprints, repackaged reprints or something like that. Rebundle print. I don't know what I put. The point is, this comes in the first 2 or 3 lines. Now, granted, I maybe search a lot of Darkhawk news still. And so Google knew that it was one of the keywords special to me. So this comes up in like the first dozen searches, and I see this cover. I'm like, what? That looks like Amazing Spider-Man. Like I think it was round robin, like 353 issue from November or something. But I'm like, but it doesn't look right. Something. Did I even get that number right? I gotta look this up. Hold on. I absolutely did. What a nerd. Okay, watch. Look, so I'm looking at this, right? And I'm like, something doesn't look right. I remember this Darkhawk pose because I drew it as a kid. And Mark Bagley, I was a huge fan of his art, although I didn't really collect a lot of his books with his art in it unless Darkhawk was appearing in a Spider-Man comic book, and it was always Mark Bagley. Mike Manley is the Darkhawk artist, and I loved Mike Manley. I could do episodes on Mike Manley for sure. What an inspiration to me. Anyways, the point is, derailing again. I mean, I did a buy now right away. I wasn't kidding around. I wasn't gonna let this go. It was not that bad. It was like $4.19 American, converted to Canadian, whatever. I paid like $15 Canadian or something like that. Whatever it came to with shipping, something like this. It's just under that. So good purchase. I didn't even look at how many page counts, how many pages it was. Is this on screen? Check it out. So it's 84 pages. Yes, they call him Steelhawk. Steelhawk, which is a bad translation because Falcon, the Asu, is actually Steel Falcon, which I also think is a great name. I might steal it now. And what? So anyways, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking something's missing from the top right, because I think it's Punisher. This was 353. This was Sidekick Revenge. There was Punisher. There was Moon Knight. There was Nova. There was Night Thrasher. I think there were 6 of them. And then there was Spider-Man, and there was Darkhawk. Not that there needed to be 6, but I thought it was amusing because of Sinister Six. Okay, but so I thought, how did they do? Is this the reprint of Sidekick's Revenge? So I mean, it says it's the origin of Darkhawk, right? So I'm thinking, what do you mean the origin of Darkhawk? This isn't Dark. Why would you say Spider-Man if it's the origin of the Steel Falcon? Okay, slow down. Here, let's take a look. So then there's some Here, let's do it this way. This is not really in the screen. It's good enough. Okay, so just the quality. The quality is not that bad. I mean, I don't care about the quality, to be honest. It has a little nick on the bottom, but to be honest, this came out in '94. I saw the year somewhere around here. They would usually collect these and reprint them a couple years after they were released, like 2 or 3 years after the runs. You can see here you got a Sal Buscema, and you got a Kurt Busiek. I mean, whatever storyline of Spider-Man this is, Kurt Busiek was writing it. I'm not familiar with what it could be. This doesn't look... I didn't read Spider-Man unless Darkhawk was in the issue, and then I would know it by the page. Then there's this right here. Pedigree. So just a bunch of bird... I don't even know what character this is. Fabian Nicieza, he was the writer of, predominant writer, if not the, I think he was the mostly, or if not the only writer of New Warriors at the time, which Darkhawk appears in issue 14. Then he makes other appearances in it. Okay, I'm derailing. Let's move on. Then I see this page and I'm like, that's Darkhawk #1. That's Darkhawk #1. And that's quite potentially. Let's see. That's when the twins get in a fight, and then he's thinking about his father, and Hobgoblin makes a first appearance. Spider-Man appears in Darkhawk, the first 3 issues, and the first 3 issues are basically Spider-Man teaming up with Darkhawk, Chris Powell going up against the Goblin, the Hobgoblin. Did I see Green Goblin before? Hobgoblin, and then they take him out, and it's kind of like Chris Powell looking up to Peter Parker. They're both from Queens and stuff like that. He's kind of the new hero on the block sort of thing. But anyways, and that's all I got. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm still going to get it. Still going to get it because it's an appearance of Darkhawk in a Portuguese comic book. And I mean, it's my childhood. It's right here. There's a bunch. I mean, I need this. So I got it. So I went to check the cover to see where the heck, like if I was right or wrong or whatnot. And there it is. Punisher. Punisher up in the corner. Can I click on this? Yeah. So we got Punisher up in the corner. We got the Round Robin, Sinister Six. Yep, 353. The Secret Empire. They were going up against the Secret Empire. I think then New Warriors ends up going up. Yeah, the big one. And Darkhawk appears in that one too. Why am I even saying that? I'm throwing out like weird. It doesn't. Let me just do a whole show on it one day. We got Moon Knight here and Punisher showing up. Kind of all the dark kind of toned characters. To be honest, I think Nova wasn't really dark, right? But he's a bit of a powerhouse in the early 90s too. Became a real powerhouse during the Cosmic Marvel, along with the reboot of basically Darkhawk into the Marvel Cosmic Universe. And the first issue is this one right here. That's Mike Manley and Danny Fingeroth. And there you go. The iconic, fantastic first issue, the dawn of the Darkhawk. And it's a great character. I don't care what anyone says. I want all this stuff. So that's it. That's the episode. It sort of meandered and went somewhere else completely different outside of, looking at some of these. Ooh, look at this one. For example, like this is a big famous one. Like you guys, big fans out there will know this, right? It's like, I mean, I don't know the name of it in English, but I know I've seen this, and it's an important storyline because I remember Rogue's hair and being hung upside down. I'm flipping through. No, I gotta save this for another. I gotta save this for another episode. I'm clicking through some old New Mutants is in here. It's Inferno. Is that the Inferno? I totally forget all of this. This is crazy. Oh my god, there's like a Freddy Krueger-esque dude. Oh my god, it's totally Freddy Krueger. Okay, fine. I'll show one page. There's like a Freddy Krueger guy going up against Doctor Strange. What? Why is this in an X-Men comic book? I totally don't remember the storyline, but I remember this cover. This is like Days of Future Past. Look at this one. That's how I kind of learned about it as a kid. And then it was on it was in the 90s cartoon, and then I was like, oh my god, these are based on comics. I mean, X Factor, right? The early years of X Factor, crazy. I mean, I loved Conan. I picked up Conan so many times. Oh, I remember redrawing the hell out of this. Characters out of this. Green Lantern. I loved Green Lantern, man. I forgot I had Aquaman. I love that post too. I got so many. Anyways, this is worth going through because I don't remember any of these. I would love to flip through them with you guys and do an episode about them and then hunt down what these storylines actually were. And like I said, and try to find out if they were repackaged differently, why they were packaged that way. It might take some investigation because I don't have these storylines today. I have them either from YouTube videos. I have some of these now. I've been buying backlogs of I'm trying to get the full New Mutants run, the full X Factor run, stuff like that. So I'm working on some stuff, but it takes forever to kind of like hunt some of these down. It's rough, man. Got to go all over the place for them. You got to go online, try to hunt them down. Anyway, so it's going to be difficult, but hopefully there's some information here. Now my adult mind will actually be able to go through the fine print of these things and maybe find out like what was reprinted. Why did I put that in quotes? Find out what was reprinted, and then I'll go to sites like this, and I'll be able to hunt them down and find out what they were all about. And yeah, I think that would be a lot of fun to bring to the channel. It's just a different sort of content, and I just kind of want to have a feeling of hanging out and just chatting about some stuff. Like I used to just love chatting about comics with people in the old like comic stores. I won't go, now just shop online, buy, order, come to my house. I just want to have a chill place. I think this would be a fun way to do it because I mean, it's just it's so random. It's so random. Portuguese comics, going through them, finding out where the hell these things come from. trying to force myself to read Portuguese after 20 years. 25 years. Oh, jeez. That's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, I'll talk to y'all soon. Catch you in some future episodes. Don't forget to explore, engage, and inspire, buddy. Peace.